Hello and welcome back to the Open Mind with you. Today is 9th September 2021. That is what you are reading, or 9th November 2021. No, friends. Today I have written the date as per the American way of writing the dates. It's 9/11, 11th September 2021. And this episode is dedicated and titled as 9/11, Was It Avoidable? So many of you, would be wondering that what is 9/11? Well, that is, right if you were born after the year 2000, because this 9/11 happened exactly 20 years ago. And today is the 20th, unfortunately, 20th anniversary of this tragic incident, which took place 20 years ago in US, in various cities of US. This 9/11 incident, changed the world altogether. And this episode is my effort to pay respect to all those people who lost their lives, precious lives, the loved ones in that tragic incident and the aftermath of that, very unfortunate series of events that happened on that day. This 9/11 brought about a tectonic shift in many fields, and the worst affected were aviation, hospitality, and those other fields that are related to aviation and hospitality. But why am I talking about it? I am not residing in US, neither is this part of my YouTube thought process. And why is India bothered about all this? And why should we worry about all this? Well, friends, if you want to listen to why and how this is going to impact, and this has impacted our lives already, stay on and keep listening and reading the presentation. So those of you who are not aware of what is 9/11 and why am I talking about this incident in my, one of the episodes, this is what it is. So take a moment, pause the video, read through this, and you would notice that this is what changed the world, for the world altogether. I remember my son was just about to reach the age of 3. And when I came back from the office in the evening, he was glued to the TV. My wife and parents said that he is not moving from the TV for the last an hour or so. And he is refusing to switch to another channel because he wanted to understand everything that was being shown on the TV on that evening. And as soon as I came back from the office, he started narrating the whole incident, what he had seen so far. And he was shocked in disbelief to see what was there on the TV screens. Imagine what would have gone through his mind when he saw what you are seeing just now as a photograph only. Those were the live images which were shot from elsewhere that were being put on the TV. And if you go to Google, you will find many videos that will show you all these things and they will talk various things, right? But this is why I thought it is necessary to talk about this particular topic on the 20th anniversary of this tragic event that took place in US. So were these attacks avoidable. Well, to be frank, I never thought that these could have been avoided as long as I was working in the airline industry. I'm still working in the airline industry, but not working as such, not as an employee. But these were, in my opinion, these events could have been prevented. And at the same time, I will not hesitate to say that these events actually were inevitable because of certain things that I have seen, watched, read, and experienced as well. As you will see in going further in the video, you will see that because there were so many things that were going wrong prior to 2001 that I think those who had, ill things in mind, evil things in mind, were prompted to act like that. And while I speak about all this, my views that I have gathered, the conclusions that I have drawn are based on my own experiences and based on these three things. The YouTube videos that I have watched from the Flight channel. There is a YouTube channel, the Flight channel, and there is another channel by the name of Wonder. Watch the videos related to mostly aircraft and aviation related videos prior to 2001. You will see a series of videos where there are open opportunities for anything going wrong. And I was shocked that a tragic event had not taken place. So much so that I remember I think it was on the Wonder channel, that in US, flying for pleasure is a common thing. So there was a family who had their own aircraft and they were moving from place A to place B. I think it was somewhere in the Los Angeles city area, the airport, very in close proximity to the airport. So this fellow was having a single engine aircraft, 3 passengers on board, including him and his wife and daughter, who was 24 or so. So 3 of them were flying, and and in those days, there was no GPS on board such aircraft. So the aircraft did not get in touch with the control tower. It was flying based on visual approach. And this person, the captain, let us call him the captain, he actually was new to this area. They had shifted to this particular area recently. And he got, misguided by, looking at the visuals on the ground. And he thought that he has to go and take a left turn, but instead of that, he took a right turn or something like that had happened. And what happened was that there was another aircraft, commercial airliner, which was approaching Los Angeles International Airport. And this single engine aircraft was actually crossing its path. The single engine aircraft did not know what was happening. The commercial airliner also did not know, because there was no alarm system at that time, because lack of GPS being there, which could have alerted the aircraft that somebody is coming in proximity. And what happened was that the tail of the commercial airliner actually was hit by the single engine aircraft. And unfortunately, both the aircraft were lost and destroyed. This is a very simple thing when you look at it 30, 40 years later, which is now. And then you realize that these things were actually inevitable, because certain things were not put in place, either because people were not aware of, the technology was not advanced, whatever may be the reason. But these were inevitable. Another striking series on Prime Video that I watched was The Looming Tower. This particular series is actually based on 9/11 only, and it shows how people in FBI and CBI in US actually messed up the whole thing because of lack of communication. Agency A believes that I am the supreme authority and B believes I am the supreme authority. They don't talk to each other. And in the process, what happens is 9/11. This is what is shown. You can go and check it out. I'm not telling from, what I think is good. This is there on Prime Video. Looming Tower is the series. And then there are many Hollywood movies which have shown this kind of thing, right? So all this is possible, and it was unavoidable because this was, I think, we were waiting for such an unfortunate eventuality to happen, and people having evil minds, उनको तो ऐसे सब आप बार बार दिखाएंगे. For example, if you are having a sweet tooth, और अगर आपको बार बार मिठाई दिखाई देगी, तो it will be difficult for you to hold on to that temptation of having that sweet, right? You may end up. So now if you are showing this kind of gaps in your security system, lapses, people with that kind of mind would simply walk in and take undue advantage. And that is what has happened. And friends, I have also experienced, I was in the April of 2001, I was at San Francisco attending a conference. So on the way back, at that time I was working with Jet Airways, and the head of Americas came to see me off at the airport. So usually we think that, okay, see me off at the airport, but because he is from the airline industry, so he may be having passed, so he will come to the check-in counter. But this fellow kept walking with me. I crossed the immigration area and we passed the security also. He came to the gate. Gate means not the building gate, the airport aero bridge gate from where you enter the aircraft, right? So I asked him that, hello, you are looking after the Americas for an airline which is not yet operating to US, and you are having authority to walk right up to this gate. So he said, Umesh, it is not up to this gate. I can actually come and sit next to your seat. This pass gives me that kind of privilege. I said, then why did you come in? He said, no, if I come in, then I have to, unnecessarily the flight would get delayed because passengers have to be given priority over others. This is what it is. A simple civilian whose airline is not even operating to US is allowed to come directly into the aircraft. Another incident when I was a child. So we the family had gone to attend a wedding at our native place, Rajkot. And, my mother's uncle, he always wanted to visit, airplane and have a look at it from inside and all that. And he said that today I will make this happen. So he wore a suit with tie and all that. He came to the airport. He walked with us. He did check-in for us. And he simply held the boarding cards. Now imagine, I was with my mother. Father could not come because he was tied up with his office work. But so my mother's uncle, actually, there were two boarding cards. There were two people, and I was a kid, right? So at least 3 boarding cards should be there if there are 3 people on board. But nobody asked. My uncle came through security. Then as we were, during those days, there were no aero bridges, and I don't know whether Rajkot has an aero bridge even now. But so while entering the tarmac, to walk towards the aircraft, somebody stopped him. So he just took his iCard out and he said, "I am from CBI." So just by hearing the name CBI, they said, "Oh, CBI, sir. Oh, by the way, I mentioned FBI and CBI in the earlier slide. My apologies. It is FBI and CIA. Yeah, because CBI is in India and not in US. I got confused at that time. Sorry about that. So, so the security fellow just told him, he saluted, in fact, because he thought CBI. Now, friends, the CBI माने क्या था वो CBI सेंट्रल बैंक ऑफ इंडिया में काम करते थे. And the security fellow thought he is from CBI, so he just said, "Yes, go ahead." He came right on board the aircraft. Person who did not even buy an airport ticket. This is how things were. I have myself seen of my parents many times by walking into the check-in area, sometimes by informing the person, the customs officer who used to man. During those days, the customs officers used to man the entry points. So I used to either tell him that I'm going inside just to see my parents off, or sometimes I used to just walk with them and come out without, and just smile at them, the officers, when I'm out. I have done this many times, and I have also seen, and I have also done this, let me admit also, that if those days there was no TV, no mobile like that. So we used to just go to the airport and sit in the AC inside the area which was restricted, which was having restricted entry. And we used to just chill out and then come out. And that is what we used to do. So if all these things are possible, do you think that a 9/11 or a similar incident is avoidable? No, absolutely not. But what this tragic incident led to, it actually led to these things. And I have seen with my eyes. I went to San Francisco in 2001 of April, to where there was a conference, and our airline was participating in some program which would generate incremental revenue for our airline. And it was already generating a good number of tickets from United States. And we were really enjoying. Every week, every Friday, I used to get the numbers, and those were in, I think, close to 1 million per week. And it used to be real fun. After 9/11, these numbers were in thousands. It's a reality, friends. I have seen these numbers. In a matter of 1 month, the sales dwindled, and sometimes some weeks there were zero sales. If there is zero sales, from where will the airline get its business? So it resulted in pay cuts, layoff, pink slips across the industry globally, not only in India. There was freeze on recruitment, freeze on buying stationery. To that extent, things have suffered. And the air travel itself became discomfort for a majority of people who traveled by economy. First class almost disappeared. Business class came into being. And whenever we used to go to Kolkata for office or personal visit, invariably we used to bring rasagullas and mishti doi, and we were freely allowed to carry as our hand baggage, part of our hand baggage, and put it on board the overhead bins. 9/11 stopped that also because of the heightened security. Everything gone. In US, for vegetarians, I being a vegetarian, always looked forward to a great American breakfast. Because even for vegetarians, they used to offer a great spread. And all that is gone. There were the hotels started, having, meal plans. The menu changed on board the aircraft also. Even in pre 2001 era, even economic class passengers were able to just walk across to the galley or the pantry area of the aircraft, and there used to be some goodies kept, like chocolates and some biscuits and some snack items. You just pick up, have a glass of juice or something like that on your own, and be back. You can go back to your seat. All that vanished. Even water was available when asked. All this happened because of 9/11. Loss of precious life was irreparable, and obviously it resulted in billions of dollars lost by the US economy and the world as well. And many economies which were small and ailing already got further hit by this tragic incident. And how did people cope with it? This is how they did. Because you see, time is the biggest healer. Whatever you do, anything that happens over a period of time, things tend to come back to normal, because that is the life cycle, that is the business cycle. The LCC model, or the low cost carrier model, was born because of 9/11. Unfortunately, sometimes necessity is the mother of invention, and that is how LCC model came into being. Cheaper fares available only if you travel via, spend longer hours at the airport. Where 6 hours journey is there, you spend 36 hours, you can travel maybe 50% cheaper. And it generated a lot of business for the arms and defense industry. Sophistication in all travel experiences, including security, scanning, extensive scanning of baggage, including human beings, the passengers, and many, many more things were there. And that is how people could cope with it. And this final slide leaves me with this thought, that can such a tragic incident recur? Well, the world is changing. It's always dynamic, and technology is also changing with it in a very fast-paced manner. And if I can think of something, you can think of something better than me. And if you and me both can think like that, then those with the not so good minds would be able to think even worse or better. That would outsmart, outwit our way of thinking. We should always be on the guard, and that's why it's necessary for all of us to have leaders who are very strong, who can protect the people of their country. And then the recent events that happened in Afghanistan, where a democratically elected government was thrown out, and unfortunately the president ran away. That's not the way. The captain should always leave the ship the last, right? Unfortunately, the captain ran away, and the country is now in turmoil. However, God is great, and things will hopefully and will become normal in due course of time. But God can do so many things, but we must do our best, and we must strive to ensure that anything unusual, untoward that we find, we must bring it to the notice of the responsible authorities. I dedicate this episode in memory of all those people who lost their lives in the tragic events of 9/11. Thank you for listening to me, friends.